Why OCBC's offer for Great Eastern may hinge on two key shareholders. OCBC's plan to delist Great Eastern Holdings took another step forward, as the number of shares owned or agreed to be acquired by OCBC and its concert parties crossed 90% on June 24th. And the number of Great Eastern shares now held by the public has dipped below 10%. Trading in Great Eastern shares will be suspended after the offer closes on July 12th. Great Eastern shareholders have until the deadline to decide whether to accept the offer, which has been deemed by an independent financial advisor as not fair but reasonable, or they will face uncertainty over their shares if the counter is suspended or delisted. OCBC has said it will delist Great Eastern only if it's in the interests of the bank and its shareholders, and if the conditions are acceptable. Still, there are a few scenarios that could play out. Let's first take a look at two key metrics. 1. OCBC gets 75% of the shares it did not already own, or 97.17% of total GH shares. 2. OCBC gets 90% of shares it did not already own, or 98.87% of total GH shares. This could lead to three possible scenarios. Scenario 1, OCBC fails to obtain 75% of shares they did not already own. This happens if their ownership of GH shares remains at less than 97.17% of the total shares in GH. This is the situation OCBC and Great Eastern shareholders find themselves in now. And if the situation persists until the deadline, trading in shares of GH will be suspended. The Singapore Exchange regulation will likely ask GH to restore its free float, which may involve placing out its shares. But OCBC has said there is no intention to restore the free float. Shareholders of GH will thus find themselves in limbo with no trading of the counter. Scenario 2. OCBC gets at least 75% but less than 90% of shares they did not already own. SGX Redco may direct GH to make an offer to delist, but there is no guarantee when or if SGX Redco would do this. Trading will then be suspended until the free float is restored or an exit offer is made. Scenario 3. OCBC gets 90% of shares they did not already own. This will allow OCBC to acquire all remaining shares through compulsory acquisition. And if that happens, OCBC could take Great Eastern private. So what happens next? Long-term GH shareholders have publicly said that they will not accept this offer as they feel that the company has been trading below the true value for the longest time. Two shareholders who together hold around 3% of GH shares could prove to be trump cards. Businessman Lee Thor Seng is part of the clan that co-founded OCBC. He holds the stake via various companies. The second would be the grandsons of a former GH chairman of 20 years. One of them has told BT that he would not sell his stake. If the two shareholders do not sell their shares, OCBC will find it hard to get the 97.17% stake that it requires. If this happens, GH is likely to be asked by SGX Redco to restore its free float by way of a placement or other means. If no effort is made to restore the free float, Great Eastern shares could remain indefinitely suspended until a new fair and reasonable offer is made. Are you a Great Eastern shareholder? What do you think of the recent developments? Let us know in the comments below, and BT will try our best to get back to you.